Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for this webinar on type 2 diabetes management, the lifestyle and the diet management. I truly appreciate all of you coming here, taking time from your busy schedule. So at Ayufy, we are dedicated to promoting public health webinar through various platforms. And today, the November 14th was the World Diabetes Day. So in honor of that, we'll be doing the diabetes management today class. Okay, so the disclaimer is we will not be discussing any medications here. It's truly like lifestyle changes, diet, stress management, and the importance of all these things. And we will try to put some practical way how we can do a sustainable change in our life. All right. Okay. So looking into this, I'm sure that many of you know that we are always looking for a fast or a short term strategies to for our health. Okay. Whenever it comes to lifestyle changes, people find it very difficult. And why this happens is because we are all evolved over the time and our lifestyle has changed so much. So instead of looking for like short term remedies, we are always looking for something that can be sustainable for a long term. We are not looking for a short term. And especially when it comes to diabetes, it's a long term management. All right. Okay. So there has been a rapid increase globally about diabetes. In WHO also they mentioned like how from 1980 the there was an increase in the number of people who has been diagnosed with diabetes. The Indian Council of Medical Research states that there has been an increase of almost 101 million affected by diabetes, and half of the population are unaware about this one. The reason being, most of the time, it is either asymptomatic or people don't care about it. And this is a very crucial reason that diabetic education is becoming more and more popular nowadays. So you can see that the mortality rate or the death rate because of diabetes and its complications are over 1 million. Okay, that was the study that is done in 2019. And state-wise, the data was taken, and the first comes is Kerala. Okay, and you can see these dark areas. These are the areas where there is more percentage of diabetic people in India. And you can see some of the areas like in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, the percentage is comparatively less. And this could be because of the lifestyle as well as the dietary changes that has been happened over the years. Okay, now we come into the types of diabetes. Of course, there is type 1 diabetes mellitus. This is an autoimmune disorder where the pancreas is not secreting any insulin. Okay, so this is usually found in young adults as well as in children. Type 2 diabetes mellitus, this is a modifiable diabetes because it's a lifestyle disorder mainly. So this is the most common one. Gestational diabetes mellitus is where a pregnant lady is having diabetes mellitus. LADA or latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. This is getting more and more nowadays, mainly because the approach towards the how we manage diabetes, it has changed over the time. So this is nothing but adults being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. This is also called as type 1.5. Okay, and MODI is maturity onset of diabetes of the young. This is a genetic part of it. So that is not very prevalent. Type 3C diabetes is because of anything that is related with pancreas. That is like pancreatitis and everything. And steroid-induced diabetes is when somebody takes any kind of medication, especially steroid. Okay, but for us today, we are going to focus only on type 2 diabetes mellitus because the management for rest of the diabetes is totally different. So this is the pancreas, and we are going to focus only on the basic things here because it will take a long time if I go into the detailed physiology. Okay, so the pancreas, it secretes insulin and another hormone called glucagon. These two are important for us. Many of you might have heard about insulin. Yeah, it's very common, right? We use the word, okay, you are giving insulin injection like that. So what is the role of insulin? So when we take food, it is converted into glucose, especially carbohydrate rich food. And when this is enters into our blood, the sugar level increases. Okay, the glucose need to be taken up by the cell. So this insulin acts like a key. Okay, here you can see this is the cell and here is the insulin. So insulin is like a key to open this cell. Okay, and if this the blood sugar level here increased, insulin will be released, and this insulin come here, open the cell, and the glucose will enter into the cell, and that will be utilized for our energy. And rest of the after some time, rest of the whatever extra glucose is left, that will be converted into glycogen and stored in our liver. And maybe, for example, let's say you had your meal at 8 o'clock in the morning. Around 10 o'clock, what happens? Your glucose level goes down. You need energy. So, this stored glycogen from the liver will be converted back to glucose by the hormone glucagon. So, this is a normal physiological function that happens in our body. In type 2 diabetes, what happens? One of the reason for type 2 diabetes is the reason is insulin resistance. So here we saw the insulin is here. It There's a key, it opens up. But in case of insulin resistance, this key is not working. The insulin is rusted. It's like a key which is rusted. It doesn't open up here. So what happens? The glucose doesn't enter the cell. We are not getting any energy, but there is increase in the blood sugar level. So that's why there is blood sugar level increase in the body when you have diabetes. Another reason for type 2 diabetes is the issue with pancreas. That is, the pancreas is not producing enough insulin because insulin is required for the blood take up, right? So that is a normal physiological function and what happens when you have type 2 diabetes. So we saw here the insulin resistance is one of the reason. When you have insulin resistance, you just don't have only type 2 diabetes, but there are other issues that is related to our health also happens. The main will be uric acid, okay, hypertension. Then there will be issues with atherosclerosis, or this is like the arteries are affected. So there are so many other issues or the health issues happens because of insulin resistance. And when we take the Asian Indian phenotype, here, these are the reasons why a person, especially in India, this is a reason for getting type 2 diabetes. One of the most important nowadays is lower age of onset of type 2 diabetes. Because in the older time, what used to happen is like maybe around 40 or people around 50 were getting diabetes, but now youngsters are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because of the lifestyle. Another thing is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. The liver disease or the fatty liver was very common only in alcohol. But nowadays, even the youngsters are having fatty liver diseases. And these liver and pancreas both are affected. That is why anyone who is having fatty liver or anyone who is having diabetes will have both of these issues. Another one is abdominal obesity or visceral fat. This is like a person who is maybe even lean, but they have a big tummy. Those are more prone to get type 2 diabetes compared to someone who is maybe fat, but still they don't have a big stomach. So it's not just size of the body, but abdominal fat. Why the abdominal fat matters? Because we have organs in there. And when that is covered with fat, definitely it doesn't function well. So those are the reasons. And then one more, the most important is low muscle mass. What is low muscle mass? You might have seen as we age, we lose muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia. Okay, as we age, like maybe in your 40s and 30s, 40s and 50s, you will see that the muscle get loosened, right? That is a reason, another reason for type 2 diabetes. These are the main reasons. Of course, there is vitamin B12 deficiency, low birth weight, those are all there, but these are the most important thing. And one of the most important thing, recent studies have shown that more than insulin resistance, people in India are having decline in beta cell function. What is it? There is decline in pancreatic function. That is, they are having issue with producing insulin. That is why LADA I mentioned, like the latent autoimmune disorder in adults, that is diabetes 1.5. The problem is a person who may be taking medicine will have to go with insulin later on because not enough insulin is produced in the body. Okay, so what are the risk factors? Risk factors means like who are prone to this one. Obesity is one thing, low physical activity, and unbalanced diet. A person who is pre-diabetic, if they take care of themselves, the diabetes can be reversed. But if they don't take care of themselves, then it will converted into type 2 diabetes. Then family history and older than 45-year-old. Even though these are non-modifiable factors, with lifestyle and with proper diet, we can delay the onset of diabetes. Because it's very important. Getting a diabetes at 30 and getting it at 40 or 50 is totally different, right? Because the complication that occurs because of diabetes is too much. So as we age, the complication will be more. So when you are diagnosed very young, the complication sets in early. Okay, and other things are like if you have diabetes when during the pregnancy, and PCODs and PCOS, all these things are becoming more and more common. Okay, then another problem with diabetes, that is the reason for recent studies have shown that air pollution is causing endocrine disruptors. That is a hormone disruptor. Insulin is a hormone that is secreted, right? That is why. But is it only the air pollution? No, the environmental toxins are also causing. It could be the cleaning products, it could be the cosmetics. We are all using a lot of cosmetics nowadays. So all these things can cause hormone disruptors, and this can be one of the reasons for type 2 diabetes, but not just one reason. So it's all like in together. It's not like one factor plays an important role. So together, all the factor plays important role in this. Okay, so now we look into the signs and symptoms. So the early stages, most of the people may not have any symptoms, but later on they will have the symptoms like they're always hungry, thirsty, they are weak, they may lose weight, and some of them they will may not lose weight. And the wounds, if you get any cut that doesn't heal well, there will be numbness in the hand and feet, frequent urination, blurry vision, and nausea. These are the main symptoms, and some people may have other symptoms too depending upon the condition they have. Okay. So now we get into the hypoglycemia. What is hypoglycemia? Hypoglycemia is when your sugar level goes below. That is below around like below 70 mg per DL. So most of the people will have a lot of symptoms or maybe one or two symptoms. It will depend upon person to person. Everyone is unique and their body reacts in a different way. So sleepiness, sweating, lack of coordination, irritability, hunger, and pallor when you have hypoglycemia. Hyperglycemia is when the sugar level goes up, like when it reaches to 300, 400. I think people who are having diabetes, they may be knowing it when they have blurred vision, frequent urination, increased thirst, dry mouth, weakness, headache. All these things will be there, or one or two symptoms will be there. Okay. And we will get into the management later on. And why diabetes need to be taken care? What is the purpose of taking is diabetes can cause a lot of complications. It can cause micro, macro, and other complications because it involves different parts of our body. If you look into here, you can see the brain, our heart, the kidney, eyes, even the neuropathy cases happens, even other issues like hypertension or maybe skin diseases. All these things will increase if you have diabetes. So it's very important that we control these complications well. Okay, we take care of diabetes, not to get into the complications. So that is a main reason that lifestyle plays a major important role. So now, how do we diagnose this? So most of the time you go to the doctor, it is diagnosed. One is our HbA1c that is taken every 3 months. Another one is the fasting glucose level. And another one is oral glucose tolerance test. So this is called as the golden test in diabetes now. Previously, they were not doing it. Nowadays, they are doing oral glucose tolerance test. What is it? We are given around like 75 mg of anhydrous glucose, that is pure glucose, and then the blood sugar is tested. So you are diabetic if that goes above 126 mg per dl, and after 2 hours it is 200 mg per dl in oral glucose tolerance test, then you are considered to be having diabetes. Okay, and again HbA1c is above 6.4. Nowadays in some places they are telling up to 7 is okay in HbA1c. And other test that is done is glucose. This is a urine test for glucose, ketone, and protein test. Depending upon the condition you have, the doctor will be prescribing this. So if you are having diabetes, then these are the two phenomena we should be knowing. This is called dawn phenomenon and Somogy effect. Dawn phenomenon is nothing but it's a normal physiological function that happens in our body. Why does it happen? You sleep in the night, we need to get up in the morning, right? And we need that energy. So we need that energy. From where do we get that energy? It's from the glucose. So how do we get it? Remember, the glycogen is stored in the liver. So that glycogen will be converted into glucose in the morning so that we can get up. So all our hormones will also be activated, like cortisol and everything. So we can function in the morning. But when it comes to diabetic people, Somogy effect is very important. Then when they are going to sleep, they have normal blood sugar level. But in the late in the night, around 2 to 3, they wake up because of hypoglycemia, that is very low blood sugar level. And then they wake up in the morning, they have high blood sugar level. So this is very important. If they have only once in a while, it's okay. But what happens if they are having it often? Then it's a very serious condition, especially in the night. People don't realize it. They're sleeping. So we have to take control of that. If they are on insulin, they may have to adjust the insulin dose. If they are on medication, maybe they have to take change the medication, and they have to change, maybe have snack before sleeping. All these things need to be done, and this need to be discussed with your doctor. If you are going through this, then the doctor will be able to help you. If it is happening often, okay, once in a while it happens, it's okay. That's why it's always better to keep something like a glucose or a maybe candy near to the bed while sleeping. Okay, so now we come into the most important part of diabetes management, that is the medical nutrition therapy. So American Dietetic Association, Diabetes Association, the medical nutrition therapy was introduced in 1994. And they have seen that this intervention, they were able to improve the A1C. We talked about the HbA1C up to 2%. And this what they were mentioning like was much better than metformin. Metformin is the medicine that is taken for diabetes. The early diabetes and pre-diabetes, medical nutrition therapy is one of the best thing to have. You don't have to take medicine in that case. Okay, so what are the goals of medical nutrition therapy? So of course, the most of the important goal is to promote healthy eating pattern, okay, without compromising on the nutrients. Why? Because a lot of nowadays we have abundance of food. We are eating too much, but we are not getting enough nutrients because of the food that we are eating is not nutrient, right? We are eating so much of junk processed food. And another thing to note whenever we are taking the nutrition therapy or nutrition counseling is their cultural preferences. Even in India, every state has got their own cultural preferences, their own food habits. So as a nutritionist, we always have to look into these things, then only we can provide the food. It is not like somebody comes to me, I just write, okay, this is what you have to eat. No, we look into their uh, cultural habits, their habits, whatever they have, are they ready to change? And one of the most important is to maintain the pleasure of eating. What does that mean? It is like nowadays, we see a lot of fear mongering happening. Diabetes should not be eating rice. Diabetes should not be eating that. Diabetes should not be eating that. This. So there is a lot of fear mongering happening. That is like people are scared of eating. And especially nowadays, because of the youngsters are being diagnosed with diabetes, there is a lot of food insecurities happening. What do you mean by food insecurities? They are scared of eating food. So this can cause a lot of mental health issues too. Already they are very tired, because of their work. They are stressed because of the work. On top of it, they have to worry about this thing too. So it's very important to keep a non-judgmental message about the food choices. Whatever food they want to eat, we just tweak it a little bit to make it much more maybe healthier version for them. Okay. So, and another goal is to keep the A1C below. Blood pressure should be below less than 140 by 90 mm of Hg, and our cholesterol level also should be, that is the LDL should be less than 100 mg. And if the person is overweight, then we have to manage the weight. So not everyone is overweight when they are having diabetes. So depending upon the goal, the nutrition therapy is managed. And most important part is delaying or preventing the complications. Okay, an effective MNT can help in delay or completely prevent it. There may be a lot of people who are having diabetes for more than 40 years, but they may not have any underlying issues. They don't have complications like kidney issues or heart issues because they were able to maintain it. So the main goal of MNT is to prevent complications. So this is the ICMR guidelines for carbohydrates, protein, fat, fiber, salt, alcohol, meal frequency, and hydration. So ICMR is Indian Council of Medical Research. So nowhere it is told not to take carbohydrate. So what are carbohydrate? I have the slide later on. I'll show you that. So carbohydrate is mainly our rice, lentils, dals, all those things are carbohydrates. 50 to 60 percentage of our intake should be from carbohydrate, and we should prefer complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates means the grains with fiber in it, like maida should be avoided, or maybe which is more processed should be avoided. Proteins, we have to keep zero point 0.8 to at least 1 gram per kg body weight, minimum per day, okay, per day. And mostly we have to look for plant-based protein and lean meats. Should avoid red meat and mutton, beef. Those things should be avoided as much as possible. Fat, we should focus on good fats. Saturated fat should be completely avoided or keep it less than 10 percentage. Those are the fat that is available in different types of oils. And completely avoid trans fat. Trans fat is like the thick fat like dalda, or maybe from the meat. Those are the fats that we should completely avoid. And we have to eat enough fiber. Fiber rich food should be eaten, and we usually get it from whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Salt should be kept 5 grams per day. So which salt? This salt is not the salt that we use for cooking. Extra salt that comes from the preserving food is available, like the papadums, pickles. They should be kept minimal. The normal salt that we add to the food should be taken. Okay, and adequate water, and avoid any sugary bottled water drinks. So healthy eating for type 2 diabetes, it is can be managed. It might require a little bit different approach, or maybe tweak a little bit with whatever diabetic plan we have, but there is no one separate plan for diabetes. Okay, so whatever a person is eating, that is what we are going to eat. We are not going to change the pattern, but we are going to tweak it. So we have different meal plan that I have made. The slides are made. I'll show you those things. So here, there is no preference like, okay, you eat more protein, you eat more carbohydrate, you eat more fat. There are different types of dietary strategies are available out there. So you don't really need those things. Basic things are enough, and we just tweak that a little bit so we can have a healthy platter. So what are macronutrients? So here you can see the macronutrients means that we need in more quantity. That is carbohydrate, fat, and protein. And micronutrients are the vitamins, minerals, and all the phytochemicals. So now you can see this is the START study that was done in 2014, which shows that India is eating more carbohydrate. There was a time it was okay to eat, but nowadays the population is becoming more sedentary. So we don't need that much of carbohydrate that we used to eat in olden times, right? We were moving around, we were more mobile, we were not eating as much as that we are eating now. So the amount of carbohydrate we are eating is much. These are the different areas of India. The study was done, and another study was done how reducing carbohydrate intake can be helpful in diabetes. Not completely removing the carbohydrate, but reducing the amount of carbohydrate. And they found that in early diabetes, that is newly diagnosed diabetes and pre-diabetes, they were able to achieve remission. Okay, the you can see here different types of food that is given. So the study is done in India only. That is why it's very important that we think about the amount of carbohydrate that we are eating nowadays. Because we saw that the more carbohydrate we are eating, some of the thing will be stored as glycogen for later use. But rest of the thing, whatever is not utilized, is stored as fat in the liver. So if you are not utilizing that one, that fat is going to stay in the liver. That is why non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is becoming more and more common nowadays. Okay, so this is the some uh, pictures from the cutout from the papers, the studies that was done, how type 2 diabetes is becoming more and more challenging to manage because of the lifestyle and the dietary pattern in India. Okay, this is again like ultra processed junk food is also causing a lot of issues, not just diabetes, all the metabolic or lifestyle disorders as such. Okay, so now whenever we think about sugars, we think about only the table sugars or maybe a candy or maybe something like a cake or pastries, right? But there are sugars hidden in few of the food products which we may not realize it. Like for example, tomato ketchup. So when we see tomato ketchup, what we are seeing is tomatoes and that's it. Maybe they add some salt to it, maybe some preservatives. That's it. But that does have sugar in it. Okay. So nowadays we get a lot of packaged food products out there, and most of them will have added sugars in it. Now you can see here, this is nothing but a pasta sauce. Pasta sauce here, 3 teaspoon per serving is there in that. So that is a huge amount of sugar, especially for type 2 diabetes, not just for type 2 diabetes, overall all diabetes should not be taking this kind of sugars. That's why it's important to read the labels. So hidden sources, you will find it in yogurt. Flavored yogurt also has got a lot of sugar in it. And all the packaged food products that is available out there, depending upon the area where you live, you will find these things. Okay. So this is just a example here. This is the Milky Mist fruit cup yogurt. Okay, so this is mango. So what we think when we see this outside the cover, okay, this is yogurt or curd and there is mango in it. But if you look into the ingredient list here, milk solids and sugar. So you can see the added sugar, how much sugars is there here. Okay, and again the same thing, fermented milk drink. This is again marketed as the probiotic drink. And you can see here, maybe not very clear, but water and sugar is the first two ingredients. So this is why we need to be very careful reading the nutrition facts. So we should learn how to read food labels. Why we have to read? Because we are buying more and more food products outside from the supermarket. Most of them are packaged. So we think seeing outside cover that, okay, this is good. It does have fruit in it, like yogurt in it, a fruit, this is good for me. But it's the other way around. So that's why reading the food label is very important, especially in diabetes people. Now we come into, I'm not sure how many of you might be hearing about the word glycemic index. There are a lot of products out there available as low glycemic index. So this is good for diabetic people. So what is glycemic index? Glycemic index is nothing but how quickly a food will be converted into sugar. Like for example, if you are eating an apple, it will take some time for that to become sugar in your body or glucose in your body. But if you're taking candy or maybe sugar, then that causes sudden spike in your blood sugar level. So that is called is having high glycemic index. So glycemic index range from 0 to 100. But the problem with glycemic index is they have not mentioned how much food should be taken to increase that one. Is it 1 teaspoon? Is it 2 teaspoon? Okay. So the example here, this is 100 ml of Coca-Cola. The glycemic index is 58. Okay. And there is 11 grams of sugar. Same here, the glycemic index is going to be the same thing, 58 only for even these two, even if the quantity is increased. But what happens here is you can see the sugar is more here. So if you think about, okay, glycemic index is only that much, and I'm going to take this glass of Coca-Cola, then you are eating at least 67 grams of sugar, which is very bad for diabetic people, isn't it? So that's why we have to look into glycemic load. What is glycemic load? It's nothing but the quantity of the food that you are eating. So if you are taking this one and this versus, so the quantity matters more. So both glycemic index and glycemic load need to be taken into consideration whenever you are thinking about uh, planning a meal for type 2 diabetes. Okay, so this is the range how we nowadays most of the food is available in the market as glycemic index. That's why this is very important to understand this aspect of it. Okay, so glycemic index will be less than 55. So all fruits and vegetables except mangoes, jackfruit, all will be like uh, this one, like berries, oranges, all these can have low glycemic index. So diabetic going with low glycemic index food will be better. And then medium GI will be all the cereals, rice, dal, all these things will come under medium glycemic index. And all processed food, all sugar, everything will be in high glycemic index. So it's better to avoid that for diabetic people. So this is again an example for glycemic index and glycemic load here. The why we need to know glycemic load, I'll tell you here. If you look into here, this is watermelon. Watermelon, they have given us glycemic index in red. That means it is more, right? 72. But 1 cup of watermelon, the glycemic load is only 8. So we know that watermelon is full of water and is one of the best fruit a diabetic can have. So if you're just looking only into the glycemic index, then the variability is different. That's why both glycemic index and glycemic load should be taken into consideration if you are planning to do a meal plan. Okay. So these are some of the examples for glycemic index products available in the market. So now lower glycemic index potatoes are available. So when a diabetic person, he is going out in the market and looking for this, they will think, okay, this is glycemic index, low glycemic index, I can have how much ever you want, right? But that is wrong. These are the marketing gimmick that is happening in the out there now. A lot of products, whichever they are marketing it as low glycemic index, diabetic friendly, are not really required, even if you're a diabetic person. Okay. And this is again a 7-grain atta that is made with different types of flour. They have added barley, different types of millets. All these things are there. So whenever someone want to have it, they can have it, but the taste may not be good. So palatability matters when it comes to, we talked about the food insecurity, isn't it? So whenever we think about it, the food palatability is also important. Again, like these are different types of attas available. I just for the reference I have given here, these are available. If people want to take it, they can take it. Definitely, it has got a lot of fiber in it. But otherwise, take just whole wheat flour and mix it with some nut powder, seed powder, millet flour. We can make it at home on your own. Okay, these are all the things that is available as diabetic friendly. This is Horlicks available again as diabetic friendly, which is not required. It has got added sugar in it. So these are all marketing trend that is going on. So we should be very careful when we choose these kind of food products. Okay, so this is again another thing I have to tell you here. So this is marketed as zero maida, zero sugar. Okay, so if a person who's diabetic, and it's written diabetic friendly, if a person is going to the market and buying this and eating this, 2 or 3, if you look into the ingredient here, they have added jaggery. Jaggery is again going to spike blood sugar. So just because the outside cover looks good doesn't mean that we have to eat those things. Because when we see this, what happens, instead of eating one, we end up eating like two or three, thinking it is good for us because it is diabetic friendly. It is, there is zero sugar in it. But we have to be very careful with these kind of products that is available in the market. Okay. And this is again the diet sugar is available. This is again like they have added artificial sweeteners along with jaggery into this. Artificial sweeteners like stevia, monk fruit, or sucralose, aspartame. A lot of artificial sweeteners are available in the market nowadays. Those can be taken in very small quantity, but in large quantity, it is not advised. Okay. So the next food product that is good, or food that is really good for diabetic people, is lentil carbohydrate. What is lentil carbohydrate? Lentil carbohydrate is nothing but a carbohydrate with a lot of fiber in it. Have you seen the fiber? It will be like a gelatinous. So the digestion happens slowly. When the digestion is happening slowly, our blood sugar is also released very slowly. So you include these into your diet. What are the sources of this? All the legumes, soaked pulses, oats, barley, all whole grain food products are all lentil carbohydrate, which helps in slow release of sugar or the glucose. And these are diabetic friendly. Another one is resistant starch food products. All green bananas, plantains, like the green ones, okay? Those potatoes, even the beans, these are all resistant starch. What do you mean by resistant starch? They resist the digestion. So the digestion is very slow and they will be digested properly in the large intestine. So it takes a long time for it to release the glucose. So including these things into your diet along with rice and everything, you are not going to increase the blood sugar level that much. So these are the diabetic friendly food, and these are which something we eat on a daily basis, isn't it? Most of the people eat all these things. And another few things nowadays, some studies have shown that adding vinegar or lemon juice to the food can delay the spike of blood sugar level, but it's very in a very small quantity, very small range it will be decreased. So it is not really required. Even cooking and cooling the food products, especially with starch, that is a rice, pasta, or maybe the potatoes. What people do is they just cook it, keep it in the fridge, and then take it and heat and eat it. So there are few studies showing this can help, but not really required, because when we think about Ayurveda, we always think about fresh food, right? So if people want to do it, especially nowadays, everyone is very busy with their life, so they can keep it in the fridge and have it, but it's not really required. And next one is a second meal effect, that is having a really fiber rich food 3 times a day. Like from morning you had a fiber rich food, then the effect is going to stay even after the sometime. Like even when you are taking a meal in the afternoon also, this will stay. That is that the postprandial blood sugar level, that is after your food, the blood sugar level increasing will be less compared to if you are eating all processed food. And over the years, there are many dietary changes that has been there. Okay, many of you might be knowing about Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is rich in all fruits, vegetables, less of meat and meat products. Then keto diet. Keto diet is very, very famous nowadays. Very, very low carb food and high fat and high protein. All these different approaches are there. But for diabetic, you really don't have to go to any of these dietary approaches, even though Mediterranean diet is considered to be good. Another one which is really good is blue zone diet. But in all this diet, one thing that is they are specifically mentioning is one is plant-based diet, healthy fats, having good protein sources, less meat consumption, less dairy. Dairy is milk and milk products less, sugar and processed food should be less, and the lifestyle factors. This is what matters more. Okay, so we were talking about how we should be eating in quantity. We talked about glycemic index and glycemic load. So nowadays we are eating more food. So the nutritionist community has come up with how we can manage or how we can um, quantify our nutrition. How much food should be eating? What food should be eaten more and what food should be eaten less? So that is what is called as Zimbabwe handjab. These are same. Just for the reference, I put this in here. Okay, you can see that we eat more of vegetables, medium, a little bit less of all the grains. This is rice, dals, or your beans, legumes. All this comes in this. And you can see the amount of uh, meat that we are supposed to consume. Very small amount of meat. Even the fruits also, we should not be eating too much of fruits. A lot of people think fruits are good and they start eating a lot of fruits. We don't need that much fruits. We just need one or two seasonal fruits available. Okay, and very less fat should be taken. And if someone want to go into a little bit more detailed quantity of nutrition, like we have to measure the food. Okay, here what we do is we measure it completely, like raw food is measured. Like we measure rice, we measure the dal, chicken, whatever it is. This is usually done for calorie deficit diet, and this is mainly helpful in if you want to lose weight, because we don't know how much we are eating. People are confused that they are eating too much. They think they are not eating too much, but don't realize it because they don't know the quantity. That is why the Zimbabwe hand jive will help. And another one is the quantified nutrition. So when we come to the Ayurvedic diet concept, so we think that all this the quantification or the amount of food that we are eating nowadays, it's a new concept. Actually, it is not. If you look into the Ayurvedic diet, there is a chapter called Matra Shiti Adhyaya where the detailed explanation about the quantity of the food is explained. They've clearly explained that we have to eat in right quantity. How much we eat and depending upon our Agni or our digestive fire. Okay, and the type of food that we are eating. What happens if you're eating too much, like, or eating less? And if the food is like guru means heavy, if the food is light. So a lot of explanations are there in our Ayurvedic test depending regarding the quantity and what happens if you are not eating in proper quantity of the food. Okay, and different explanations are there how we should include all the rasas in our food. It's a lot of explanation are there. We will not be able to discuss all those things here, but overall this concept is been there long back, but we have to modernize it a little bit. That's why Zimbabwe hand jive or quantified nutrition helps a little bit more, because it's not easy to understand whether the Ayurvedic concept for everyone. So we have to balance it out, incorporate Ayurvedic science into the modern science. That is what we are doing. Okay, so now we come into the plate, the meal, how much food, each food we should be eating. So this is the American Diabetes Association and the ICMR. It's a both around the same thing. You can see your plate here. The plate should be small and half of it should be vegetables, all kinds of vegetables except starchy vegetables. What is starchy vegetables? It's your root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, um, beetroot, all those things. We should include those things. We should not avoid it because it does have a lot of nutrients in it. So it's not like we should avoid potatoes, but should be eaten in small quantity. And this is all your grains, dal, legumes, and rice. Rice, instead of rice, you can have wheat, barley, all kinds of millets like ragi, jawar, everything. Okay. And then the protein sources. So this is all the different types of carbohydrate or the food that has got carbohydrate in it. And you can see here, banana has more carbohydrate and strawberry has less carbohydrate in it. So depending upon the carbohydrate content, the blood sugar spikes. That is why the reason why we should reduce the quantity of carbohydrate in our food. Okay. And these are good fats or the healthy fats that we should include it in our diet. All nuts and seeds, coconuts, then fish, different types of fish, especially small fishes are very good for health. And when it comes to protein, everyone has got issue when they are vegetarian, but even in vegetarians, they can have soy chunks, yogurt, cheese, paneer, and also tofu, which is available nowadays. All these things can be taken, milk and milk products. And there are few vegetables which will have very small amount of protein. So these all can be included in your daily diet. Okay, this is just the examples. If in case anyone is confused with the types of millets, there are different types of millets available, not just this one. And all the millets are high in fiber, and it's good for diabetics and for everyone. But the problem is they are all polished nowadays. So better to buy unpolished millets, and can be used either as rice or for making idli, dosa, whatever you want to make it out of it. Millets can be easily used. Okay. And different types of legumes. Every day we should be eating legumes and beans, all kinds of whatever is available in your area, wherever you live. That is very important. Okay. So, how to build a balanced meal? How can we make sure that we have a balanced meal? So, this is the representation, like a picture representation. You can see here the carbs, either from roti. Roti can be made with anything, either wheat or any kind of millets, okay, or rice. And fiber comes from all the vegetables, and the protein and fat from the whatever protein that you are choosing. It could be chicken, fish, egg, paneer, tofu, soy, anything. Okay. So let's say, like, for example, morning you want to have idli. So most of the time, what do people eat? Idli with chutney. That will be coconut chutney or tomato chutney, whatever it is. So instead of that, have a good um, amount of vegetables. Maybe sambar with a lot of vegetables in it. That's a very good option. If you are eating puttu with kadala, puttu with mung bean curry is better than puttu with banana. Okay, so that is how we manage our food. And sorry, having some nuts along with it will also help. And again, dinner, this can be the same pattern. You can have whatever sources that you want, and that is according to your household. Every household has got their own way of cooking, right? So we have to manage it according to what you are eating, and then tweak it a little bit. Imagine you are having a lot of rice, reduce the amount of rice. That is what you are doing, and add more vegetables to it. That's the only thing. Whatever vegetable that is available in wherever you are living, or the seasonal vegetables. Okay, so these are just the representation or just for the pictorial purpose, how you can build up balanced meal. So, with your own food, whatever you make it at home, it's easy to plan a meal. You don't have to worry too much about making a special diabetic meal for people. Whatever everyone is eating, you just need to tweak it a little bit to make it diabetic friendly for you if you are pre diabetic or diabetic. Okay. So, meal prep, this is again like the representation for different types of food and how your plate should look like. This is a representation for how you can plan your meal, right? A lot of people find it difficult to cook every day. You just make sure that you have your meal planned, put it in the fridge, and cook it next day. This is again like another salad bowl. Some people like to have salads. So if you're buying canned beans, which is available in most of the places nowadays, make sure you rinse it and mix it with all kinds of vegetables and whatever protein sources you want. You can boil it if you want. All these sprouts, you can make it. This can be a sprout salad, any kind of salad. So this is how we balance our food, whether it is diabetic friendly. Okay, these are all diabetic friendly, but what matters is the quantity of the food. Okay, these are the handouts. Usually we give it out for people who are traveling or you want to eat outside. They find it very difficult to find like how much they should be eating, especially if they are on insulin and all. It will be affecting them more, right? If they are taking medication or they're traveling, they want to know how much they should be eating. You can see the difference when you increase the quantity of the proportion of carbohydrate is also increasing. Okay, for 450 for this lamb biryani, there is around like 94 grams of carbohydrate. So this can increase the blood sugar level. So that's why these are handouts given out. So they know how much they should be eating when they are eating outside. This is the whole example of different types of omelette. Every omelette will have different types of calories and how much the carbohydrate is there if you are mixing with other things. An omelette can have a lot of vegetables in it, right? When you're traveling, people find these kind of handouts handy. So I just want to give example. This is how the nutrition planning, when you are doing, these are all what you expect from a nutritionist or a dietitian. Okay, so these are diabetic friendly snacks. A lot of people find it difficult between the meals. What should we eat? Okay, so we have a lot of options. Nuts, different types of nuts are available, different types of fruits are available, and you can also eat sprouts, you can also eat peanut butters. All those things can be eaten, but make sure the quantity is less. Okay, and also if you're eating fruits, don't eat with your lunch or dinner, eat as a snack. Everything eat as a snack, so small quantity of food. If you're eating large quantity, what happens, the rest of the food that is converted into glucose will be stored as fat, right? So it's better to have small frequent meals rather than having a big meal, if possible. Okay. So now we look into some of the supplements. Are supplements and herbs required? So in Ayurveda, there are many types of herbs and supplements that is available. Okay. Especially the herbs, they are, many studies have found that especially they are good in or maybe helpful in pre-diabetes and early diabetes. There are many studies done. They all have hypoglycemic effect. What do you mean by hypoglycemic? It helps in insulin resistance and also functioning of the um, pancreas, and helps in reducing the blood sugar level. But the problem happens is when people start using it in a very wrong way. For example, many nephrologists, I'm not sure how many of you might be hearing it from the WhatsApp forward you are getting, I don't know, some of you may be aware about it. Drinking amla juice, the person ended up in the ICU because of problem with the kidney. Why did it happen? Because they are eating too much of it. Maybe they are taking 10 to 20 amlas and making juice out of it, the concentrated juice they are drinking. If they are taking one small piece of amla, it is not going to do anything, right? It's not going to be harmful. But when they are eating it in large quantity, that is the problem. So whenever we think about the herbs, we should know how much to take. So it's always a good idea to talk to your Ayurveda doctor whether you should take it or not. And it will also, some of thing may interfere with if you're taking modern medicine. Okay, a lot of people have a habit of taking turmeric. Turmeric is a blood thinner and should not be consumed in large quantities. Okay, it is available in capsule form also. So all these herbs that you are seeing here, like Vijayasar, Madhunashini, Basil, Triphala, Guduchi, Ashwagandha, Brahmi, these are all very good for diabetic people, but take it in very small quantity. Another one is Moringa. Moringa is like the superfood now. It is available as Moringa tea in the market, but I think most of the Indian household, Kerala household, we have Moringa. So include those in your diet every day. Okay. And again, like bitter melon or Karela, instead of having the juice, make poriyal out of it or make curry out of it and have it rather than drinking the juice. Okay. And then the supplements. There are many supplements available in the market. We don't need all the supplements. Okay. First thing is do the blood test. Vitamin B12 deficiency is very common in diabetes, especially if they were on metformin. Another one is vitamin D. These two deficiencies are very common and they also help in glucose balancing. So it's required that if it is required, the supplements can be taken. Omega 3, especially in non-vegetarian, they usually get it from fish, but fish and egg. But if you're vegetarian, then you can opt for omega 3 supplements if it is required. It's also available in all nuts and seeds. Then chromium and zinc is also does help in hypoglycemic effect, or it also manages the blood sugar level in the body, but you don't need a supplement for that. It's easily available from almost all the, if you are eating a well balanced diet, you don't need these supplements. Okay. Now we talk about the role of gut health in type 2 diabetes mellitus. We are going out much less nowadays, right? We are not exposed to the nature nowadays. We are in a sanitized place. Most of the time, we are washing our hands with antibacterial liquid and sanitizers and everything. So this has caused gut dysbiosis. Means the harmful bacteria are more and the good bacteria that should be there in our body is less nowadays. And even Ayurveda talks about gut health. We have hearing a lot about gut brain connection nowadays, or the people are complaining about leaky gut, okay, or SIBOs, that is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. These are all the issues that is related to our digestive system, and Ayurveda emphasizes a lot on digestive system, the especially the ama, what happens when you have ama, all those things are very much discussed in our science. And again, like, it's important that we are very careful with what we are eating, and exposing to the nature is good, and taking too much of medicine, that is also bad, especially antibiotics. Take antibiotics only when it is required. Okay, so now this is a new study that was done by in UK, past 5 years study by Dr. Roy Taylor and his team. They found that the diabetes can be reversed, but in whom? Person who are overweight and diagnosed within 6 years and age between 20 to 65. The reason why I'm mentioning this is here, there are few influencers. We know that there are a lot of influencers coming out and giving their own, whatever they want to say, and this is what you can do, this is what you have to do, drink this, drink that, you can lose weight. So those kind of influencers are coming out, and they are mentioning these kind of food, or maybe this is good for diet or good for diabetes. So it's very important to understand that this should not be done without the medical supervision. Okay, here this is a direct clinical trial done, and they found that they were able to get into remission at least for 1 year in diabetic people. Okay, but the problem with this diet is it's very, very restrictive diet. Okay, and it is around 800 calories. So this is found to be helpful in overweight people, and this is found on twin organ hypothesis. That means a person who is having diabetes and fatty liver. So twin organ is liver and fat, liver and pancreas, sorry, liver and pancreas. So the target was to bring down the weight, and that way the remission will happen. And yes, it is a, most of the people are following this, but make sure if you are following it under the supervision of an endocrinologist and a nutritionist, not on your own. Never do any kind of very diet plan where it is restrictive. Too much restriction can cause a lot of issues, and then it will be difficult to manage it, and you can end up in with a lot of complications. Okay, so now when you have hyperglycemia, we talked about hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is when you have blood sugar level very low, below 70 mg per dl, and hyperglycemia is about 200. Okay, so when there is hyperglycemia, what you do is, if you're on insulin, make sure you take your insulin. If you have been taking medication, make sure you take the medication. Still, you feel that the blood sugar level is high, do go to the doctor. When there is hypoglycemia, ADA, that is American Diabetes Association, recommends 15-15 rule. What is 15-15 rule? Consume 15 grams of fast-acting carbohydrate. Fast-acting carbohydrate means glucose. Pure glucose tablets are available in the market, that one, or pure juice. Not biscuits, not chocolates. Okay, because we need that immediate glucose in the body when we are having low blood sugar level. We should not be eating those, because chocolate will have fat in it, so that is not an immediate glucose uh, source for you. And then wait for 15 minutes, and then if still the blood sugar is low, then maybe go to the doctor or take one more piece of juice or maybe tablets. Okay, so these were all for people who are having diabetes, but no underlying issues. But when it comes to complications in diabetes, okay, in these cases, you should go to someone who is a registered dietitian, managing or specializing in specific cases. Like, for example, if there is any issue with the kidney, then the total dietary modification, restrictive diet should be taken. We should not be eating whatever the other diabetic person are eating, because the protein, sodium, potassium, a lot of changes happens in the body, and we should not be eating whatever the other people are eating. A restrictive diet should be followed. In those cases, you will be going to a registered dietitian who is managing these kind of cases. Okay, whether it is kidney or any other cardiovascular disease or any other underlying complications that is there. So now we come into the glucose monitoring. So different types of glucose monitoring is available now in the market. Okay, one of the easiest and the most common thing that people use is glucometer. Right, everyone is aware about this glucometer available, and it's very cheap nowadays. Everyone has it, or even if you go to the doctor, they are using it. Okay, but the newer version, it's been there for a while, but that is continuous glucose monitoring. So here what happens, there is a small sensor that you apply on your hand, and either you use a reader like this, or you can use your phone. Okay, nowadays there are ultra human app, different types of app is available, and you can get your blood sugar level. So the name itself suggests continuous glucose monitor, means you will get your glucose range continuously. Okay, and this is very helpful for people who is not able to manage your blood sugar level. Right, some people, like, they find it that every day their blood sugar is high, or maybe it is going down, it is up and down, like the variables are happening every day. In those people, this may help, because they know, like, okay, maybe because of the stress, or they didn't sleep well, or it may be because of the diet. So having a glucose monitor, it is very good, but having one glucometer at home is one of the most, and it is the cheapest, and this is easiest to use. Okay, the problem with this CGM, or continuous glucose monitor, is like the different brands are available in the market now, Freestyle Libre or Medtronic, different types are available. This can be used only for 14 days. So after 14 days, you have to buy a new one. Okay, so this comes around like 2,500, around like rupees, around that. So every 14 days, you have to replace it. But most of the people who are diabetic, if they want to use it, they can use it. And it's one of the easiest way you can read your blood sugar level. Okay, and these are for the people who are using insulin. So I think most of them will be using insulin pump, insulin pen nowadays. The syringe is very rarely people are using. And then there is a pump that is available in the market nowadays. There are hybrid loop and open loop and closed loop. So there are different types available. I'm not going to talk detail about all these things. It's kind of expensive, but these are very, very helpful for type 1 diabetic people, because they are on insulin and their body doesn't produce insulin. So this is a very good option for people with type 1 diabetes. Only thing is, these are very expensive, like ranging from 2 lakh to 6 lakh, depending upon what device you are using. Okay. And now these are the different, I'm not going to talk about this. These are the medicines that may be used, different types of medicine, depending upon the site of action. That is how the doctor will be giving you, your diabetologist or the endocrinologist will be giving you these medications. But one thing is, like, anytime a doctor is giving you a medication, if you find that you're having some side effects, like for example, most of the people, when they start taking metformin, either they feel nauseated, they feel vomiting, they feel like a cramp in the stomach. In those cases, they should talk to their doctor so that they can reduce the dosage, or they can change the medication. Okay, so that's why it's very important to know whether the side effect is from the medicine, or you are getting it because of some other thing. It's because most of the people, they just start taking it and they have to suffer. You don't have to, because there are other medications available, or the dosage can be changed. And then there are different types of insulin also. Again, the insulin, we talked about the Somoji effect. So if nighttime you are taking some different types of insulin and you are having hypoglycemia, talk to your doctor about it so they can change the unit, how much ever you are using, or maybe use it a little bit early. So different types of insulin is available nowadays. Okay. So, okay. Now we talked about the food, and we talk about like the other lifestyle factors. But most important factor that would affect our blood sugar level is definitely stress. Okay, we need stress. We need the basic that stress level. It is required, but when it becomes chronic and when you are not able to manage it well, then that can cause a lot of issues in the body. Okay, so this stress affects. This stress could be the mental stress or even the physical stress. Okay, so it's very important how do we manage that one, either with the help of somebody, go for yoga therapy, mindfulness classes, meditation. There are different ways how you can manage it. And sleep also matters. Nowadays, everyone sleeps very late, either because of their work or it could be because of other things like TV or whatever the reason is. People are sleeping very late or they are sleeping less. Over the time, this can cause a lot of issues and inflammation in the body, thus creating issues with other health issues are there. But for diabetic, it will be very difficult to control the blood sugar level. So proper sleep is required. Okay, so this is the self-care for stress management. Stress, so when you are having stress, a self-care is very important. Your nutrition part, your physical activity, and most important part nowadays is that communication. We are not able to communicate ourselves well, so it's important that we communicate well, and relaxation, whatever works for you, that matters. Especially self-care is important for women. I think like by the time you hit your early 40s and late 40s, we are also going through a lot of hormonal changes. So if we are carrying all this stress and along with that hormonal changes are happening, it will be very difficult to manage. So self-care is very, very important. Okay, so we talked about, and yes, avoid tobaccos and smoking alcohol. Nowadays, I think even substance use is also becoming very common. Those need to be avoided. Okay, we'll come to the physical activity. So when we talk about the physical activity, it's about all the physical activities, not just walking. So cardio, it's running, jumping, whatever activities that you are already doing. If you're not doing it, do not start immediately. You should start very slow. So walk fast. Any kind of cardio, it improves our endurance, as well as it is also good for the insulin sensitive, insulin resistance. It improves the insulin resistance sensitivity. And strength training, the most important factor when it comes to strength training is people are in denial even now. But one thing to understand is we used to have all the functional movement when we were like maybe a few years back. We were carrying things, we were holding things, we were pushing things, we were jumping around, we were hanging on to things. The functional movements are very important. And nowadays we are not doing it. That is why we have to resort to exercise like this. It could be anything like use your dumbbells, go to the gym, or resistant bands are available, or your own body weight like squats, lunges, any kind of physical activity which requires a little bit of heavy weight. That is what is strength training is. And strength training is required. We talked about sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass, isn't it? So how do we increase the muscle mass? How do we have to maintain that muscle mass? We need that lean muscle mass, and that can be done only with strength training. That's why it's very important to do it. But whenever you're starting, always have some help or look for a coach who can help you. Stability exercise, yoga, pilates, any kind of stability exercise are good. As we age, we lose balance. Yoga helps in a lot of things, we know that. And NEAT is nothing but the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This includes all kinds of activity you are doing, anything like cleaning, standing, walking, everything. Every 30 minutes we have to make sure that we are sitting. If you are a sedentary lifestyle, or you are sitting, your job is full time on sitting, then every 30 minutes make sure you get up, just walk around for 2 3 minutes and come back. So that is what is neat, because our body is made to move, and when you're moving, what happens, the glucose is there, that is, it is utilized, right? That is why it is important. For diabetic, after your meal, morning, afternoon, and evening, it's a very good idea to walk. At least even Ayurveda says 100 steps of walk after your meal. Okay, so just walk around inside the house. You don't have to get out of the house. Just walk around here and there after the meal. So whatever the glucose that is released because of the food, that will be utilized by the body. So it's not stored back into the liver. Soleus muscle exercise. This is a new study was done in Houston where you go on your toes. If you know yoga, Tadasana, you go in Tadasana or the calf raises. That is, you're standing on your toes and bringing your heel back. So up and down. Okay, this is soleus muscle. Whether you're sitting, standing, with weight, whatever it is, doing soleus muscle, it really helps in insulin resistance because it really helps in that calf muscles. Okay, and all the yogasanas, whichever yogasanas you are doing, all yogasanas are good, but mainly which focus your abdominal area, like forward bending, twisting, like Ardha Matsyendrasana, all the yogasanas are good. And pranayama, we talked about sleep as well as stress, right? So for those, again, like any pranayama is good, but just be careful with if you're doing Kapalabhati or Bastrika pranayama, where it is too a bit strenuous. It's very important that if you're having BP or something, you have to be careful, do under the guidance of a coach. Otherwise, doing alternative nostril breathing, that is Anuloma Viloma is good, Ujjayi Pranayama, Brahmari, this all can be done every day. The next one is how do we know to do the formulate. Okay, I think I'm running almost like 1 hour past. I'm so sorry. I'll finish it fast. Okay. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we do exercise properly on a daily basis. Okay. And then we have the psychosocial burden of diabetes, all the mental health issues that is because of diabetes. One is it's all stigmatized, and also a lot of pressure from the peers, right? Your family is not supporting you, or friend circle is not supporting you, so a lot of mental health issues are going on. So that is why motivational interviewing is very helpful in managing type 2 diabetes. So motivational interviewing is nothing but we just talk to the person and then we inculcate positive habit in them. Okay, and that is done by the coach. We listen to them and we show empathy and then boost the confidence and set goals. So this is how we really look into how motivational interviewing is done. And why is motivational interviewing important? Because we are all in different stages of our behavioral change. Okay, so some people who are in action stage, they are able to do their work. They will do all their workout. They will follow all the dietary pattern very fast. But there are a lot of people who are in pre-contemplation. That is, they are never about the problem. So for them to do into the maintenance, that is start, at least go for a walk, it takes a long time. So what helps there is nothing but SMART goals. So what is SMART goals? Anything that is like specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. So it should be a SMART goal where they can do it. I can't tell a sister, like a nurse who's working in a hospital, that you go for a walk because she's already tired. She's been already walking around. So I have to give her something which she likes. Maybe she likes dance or maybe yoga, right? Something that they can do, and mini goals or small goals, they can reach to that level. And a regular health checkup is very much required. Most of them, they ignore their eye, foot, skin, and oral health. It's important that they do it. Depending upon the doctors you are going, I think they will always tell you to do it. Okay, these are the simple steps that we can follow. I'm just going to skip these things. These are whatever we talked. I just thought I'll put it into make it easier for you. Okay, so what are the Ayurveda guidelines? Ayurveda guidelines, apart from the medication for diabetes, of course there are many medicine that is available for diabetes, but apart from that, we know that diabetic people go through a lot of things. So doing a panchakarma therapy or external therapy like shirodhara, or maybe Akshitarpana, that is for the eye. All these things are good. Okay, medicated oils are available. So if you have neuropathy, that is pain because of the nerves, you can use all these things. Rasayanas for vitality and rejuvenation. Dinacharya Ritucharya, That is a daily habits that we have, as well as the seasonal habits. So a lot of things are there in Ayurvedic texts where we can follow all these things. We can incorporate into our modern lifestyle these things. Okay. Acharasana, Sadvrata, Swastavrata, we are talking about the society, right? How we in the behavioral change, how we need to be communicating, like we talked about, like how we need to be more social. And these all will help us in managing diabetes, because diabetes is a long term management. It is not like 1 week we do it. So lifestyle is also like that. Lifestyle is like you get up in the morning and you are brushing your teeth, you go for a walk, or maybe you take a shower, you do it every day. So lifestyle is something that you follow on a daily basis. It's not a short term thing. Okay. So this is like one of the doctor, how he reversed his fatty liver with holistic approach. So this was a cutout from a paper. Okay. We just need to show that holistic approach is being used widely everywhere. Okay. So whenever you are coming for nutrition counseling, a lot of factors need to be taken into consideration before we provide a nutrition plan or a diet plan. Okay, so overall, our wellness is not just about the absence of disease, but it is our mental, physical, and social well being. And for diabetes, a little bit effort from your side and a proper guideline is what is required. And we do not need a separate diabetic plan or diabetic food for managing type 2 diabetes mellitus. We need to make it simple and a sustainable change, not to make it complicated and stressful for people. Okay. So yeah, these are the references. So we at Ayufy, thank you so much for being here today. Ayufy is an online platform, and mainly we have different doctors in different areas of consultations, but particularly we are focusing on women's health and infertility. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I think the time is running a little bit late. I'm so sorry taking up that much time. So thank you so much. So if you have any queries, I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge and scope of my practice. So thank you, everyone. So if you have any queries, you can always reach out to us, and you can log into ify.com and you can look for the any help you need. You can also contact our customer service if you have any queries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, doctor. It's a good session, good informative.
Thank you.